combined event. We did one last year at this time, and I'm super excited to have you all here. We're going to go ahead and start in prayer. I know some of you have already been eating, so thank you. We don't want food to get cold. If someone could let in our other attendees, that would be great. And I'm going to introduce Kevin, who is going to open us in prayer. Kevin is our brand new young adult and high school youth minister. He's been on staff for a little over a month, 6 weeks. 6 exciting weeks. He has done more in 6 weeks than I don't even know. It's been a whirlwind. He was Jesus of the Gym. He was for VBS. He's led Fiat, a mission program, and done some really great things. So you'll want to meet him if you haven't already, and I will hand over the mic for him to pray.
Cool. Thank you, Tracy. It is good to see everybody here. Thank y'all for being here, just talking with some of y'all. I've already seen some of the enthusiasm, some of the excitement, talking about this topic of college. So let's just bring it to just a space, I believe the saying that all good things begin and end with a prayer. So let's start this very good thing off with a short prayer. So if you'll join me in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this evening, for the time of fellowship, for a time to just hear from those who have experienced this path of life of college and what happens after high school. I just pray for each and every person here who is thinking about college, about to go off to college, is currently in college. Just pray that you continue to guide their hearts and their minds through your Holy Spirit, to give them the wisdom to follow your directions, give them the courage to make the typical choices that they have to make, and also that you would just surround them with a community of faith, with good friends, family members, teachers, and those who can continue to help them grow in their knowledge and their faith. Pray for all our speaker tonight, all of our panelists, and that you would just inspire them to speak your words. And we offer this evening to you through the intercession of your Holy Mother Mary as we pray. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So I didn't introduce myself. I'm Tracy Beckley, and I am our career ministry coordinator here at All Saints. We are very blessed to have this unique ministry here. Not a lot of churches have a career ministry, and especially not a lot of Catholic churches do. So we're very lucky, and I see fruits and blessings every day, connecting job seekers to awesome volunteers like John Casey and Anna who are here, and connecting them through our Zoom calls, through our in-person meetings, offering great trainings. But I wanted to do this for college students specifically because going off to college can be a scary time. It's a very, very exciting time. But occasionally you think things are going to go one way and they don't. And such is life, because God has an awesome plan for us all, but it's not always what we think it's going to be. So we wanted to equip you with some great resources, know where to go for help. And then selfishly, my firstborn's going off to college. So if I made him be here, he had to be here. So whether you were told to be here by a parent or forced to be here or just encouraged, we're glad you're here because you have made an investment in your future, and that goes a long way. So those of you who are watching online or recorded, we're also happy you're watching. We're going to have a Q&A session later, and you can be thinking of your questions, write them down, and about halfway through, a third of the way through, we'll stop and ask some questions. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our main speaker tonight is Anna, if you will come on up. Now, Anna, you will see her last name, and it's actually worse than mine as far as the pronunciation not going with the, with how it is spelled. Okay, so here's our title, right? Next, I want to thank you to Canes. Canes has generously donated all of this food that you all are enjoying. So this is the Canes on Coit and Campbell, and we love having partners, community partners with our church that we can do business with, and we patronize them. They give us great things, and so we love that. So thank you, Canes. So here, does anyone have any idea, someone who doesn't know, how to pronounce Anna's last name? Raise your hand and we'll have an extra gift surprise if you get it right. Okay, what do you think? Shoop. Okay, is that right? Okay, any other guesses? Shoop? Okay, yes, Bob.
Choupé.
Little closer. Okay, so how do you pronounce your name?
Chippa, like you eat a chip and then It's German. I mean, it doesn't sound like
Okay. So next time you see my name, Voegtle, and you're wondering how did you get Veckley out of that? Think about Anna and how do you get Chippa out of Zchuppe. But that's okay. She's awesome. You'll get to hear so many great things. I was blessed to be introduced to Anna. I think you just called or emailed me out of the blue. I don't even know how you found us. But she said, you know, I think I might want to help because I want to be a coach, but I also might need some guidance in starting my own business. She worked at Ernst & Young, which if y'all know, that's like a pretty prestigious position, and she had a very well-paying job, and she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to just go on my own and start my own business. And I was like, okay, let's see how that goes. And then I started talking to her and heard how awesome she is and how organized she is, and I know she's going to be super successful. So you will see this. This presentation is hers. I'll let her tell you more about herself. But I'm just very blessed that you've been giving back and coaching our job seekers. She has a special passion for young people because she's clearly younger than I, and she can just really help you in so many ways. So here you go.
Thank you. How is everyone? Oh my goodness. Alrighty, let me get all set up here. Cool. Okay, so we got a few people in the crowd. Thank you for those who are joining online. Just by a show of hands, how many people are high school seniors? About to be college freshmen? Raise your hand. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of college freshmen. Cool. How many are still in the college? Okay. Where are you guys? Like sophomores, juniors, seniors, freshmen? Sophomore? Senior. Oh, love it. Oh my gosh. And how many of us have like already graduated college? Yeah, that's my category. But yes, I'm so glad that you guys are all here. My name is Anna Chippa, like Tracy had mentioned. I'm actually born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So I went to school, a little background on me. I went to school at Miami University. Everyone asks if I went to school in Florida, and I'm like, no, I went to school in Ohio. So Miami University of Ohio. My majors were strategic communication and professional writing, and then I minored in general business and management and leadership, which is basically HR. My story with college, I was like, I know that I like communications and writing, don't really know how this is going to play out. I thought I was going to go into public relations, then I thought I was going to go into HR, and then I was like, I need something a little bit different than HR, more of a rev. That's really where I got into consulting, which is how I found my job at EY. I worked as an HR consultant there for about 3.5 years or so. Very involved in college. I loved doing a little bit of everything, being a teacher in business. Did things like being a college, or not a college, a youth soccer coach. Also helped with doing a publication, director of professional development for my business fraternity, just things like that. Really loved college, loved my experience, 4 years there. And then I moved down here to Dallas, like I said, for the job. And yeah, I've loved it ever since. And I decided after a few years to leave EY to start my own business. I was like, corporate America's not for me. I really want to be an entrepreneur and just learn all of these different things. So even, while you're in college, while you're out of college, you'll go through a lot in life, a lot of changes. So that's a little bit about me. I love also doing Orange Theory. I love working out. Love dancing, love singing, and I love going to concerts. So if anyone wants to go to a concert with me, hit me up. I love it. All right. So what we're going to focus on today is maximizing your college experience and your career experience. So I have 10 tips for you all, and we'll kind of go from 10 all the way down to 1. Okay? So the first one is staying organized and learning how to manage your time. In college, there are going to be a ton of different priorities between work, school, friends, maintaining a life, sleeping, eating, just everything. And you're like, how do I manage my time, right? So there are a few different ways in which you can do that. So I always recommend to establish a morning or a bedtime routine. This is even helpful for you to establish it now before you get out into the real world. The more you can do this now, the better, right? We are creatures of habit. We are humans who like that routine, who like that habit, believe it or not. So by establishing that routine, you'll get more flexibility in your schedule. Keeping tabs on schoolwork, so anything about tracking upcoming deadlines, any events, any dates, any meetings, like anything like that, you want to make sure to keep it all on tab and track. There are some tools and apps to keep you organized on the side. I like to use Google Calendar or even writing it in my planner or whatever, but you can use whatever is best for you. And then also find ways to document notes and paperwork. So thinking about how you're going to take notes. So for example, some people like to handwrite notes. Other people like to put them on a computer. Think what works best for you. And then also how you'll back up files. It's kind of crazy, but I've referenced stuff from my freshman year when I was working on senior year projects. So it's good to back up those files just to kind of see how you've grown over time. And you can even use some of that documentation when you're applying for jobs and internships and things like that. So thinking how to back up your files, whether it's on a cloud or maybe an external hard drive, it's really important as you're going through your college career. Another thing as well is creating daily goals and weekly to-dos. Whether it's on a Post-it, maybe you use it on your Google Calendar. Really important to stay on track and to create little actionable goals. We call them SMART goals. When I do a lot of my coaching with my clients, is how can we create little baby steps? If you try to jump all the way across to the other side of the pond, you're not going to make the jump. But if you go little step by step, you'll be okay. Another thing as well is creating pockets of time for both school and play, right? It's all about balance. In life is all about balance, and especially when you're in college, really, really important to think about. So thinking about activities that are most important to you, what makes you really, really excited? What are things that don't make you so excited? And how do you manage your time from there? You want to make sure that you have time for downtime, relaxation, because college is a lot, and you want to make sure that you're doing things for you, right? So what I like to do, I do this with my clients all the time, even outside of college. The more you could do this now, the better. Is assessing every 2 months where you land on the life wheel. So this is the life wheel, okay? It has all these different spokes, anything from money to social and friends, personal growth, things like that. You want to make sure that there is a balance both in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit. So I always call it mind, body, spirit, wellness, and connection. So when you're doing this, you want to think about in each spoke of the wheel, how much time are you spending in each spoke? Are you spending a lot of time in social and friends, but very little time in education? Maybe you're spending a lot of time in your schoolwork and not enough time in health and fitness. Thinking about things like that is really, really important. And then you also want to think about what activities energize you versus drain you. and then how you can alter your schedule in order to create more of a balanced work life. Okay? Alrighty. Tip number 9 is to build your network. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You want to make sure to surround yourself both personally and professionally with people who are going to inspire you. I can't remember where it says it in the Bible, but it's like iron sharpens iron, right? So you want to make sure that you're with people who stimulate you intellectually, stimulate you socially, inspire you, have a lot of the same values, both in your personal life, so whether that's with your friends that you find in groups in college, or even in your professional life with mentors, advisors, people in your professional network. Okay? So again, by building these networks, by building these relationships with people, it's going to open doors for you. It's crazy by who you find and who you meet in college that they're going to be able to build that network somehow, right? So you want to make sure that you're cultivating friendships with a diverse crowd of people. Helps broaden your perspective, because sometimes in college or even in our real world, right, we kind of get sucked in this bubble, in this little vacuum. Like right now, we're like, okay, we're like at All Saints, we're in this bubble, you know, but I encourage you and recommend for you to try to find other groups, try to find other people outside of what you do from your day to day, okay? Another thing as well is finding mentors that you can lean on for support. So that could be anything from mentors, from professors, from academic advisors, maybe bigs or littles in your fraternities and sororities, a boss or manager, people like that who can help you see things from the outside and really help you in that way. Also, you want to attend both social and networking career events. You just never know who you're going to meet. There are times where I've been to events, for example, in my college career, I went to like an EY networking, like a business networking event, right? And that person ended up interviewing me for the position, and I had no idea that they were going to interview me. And they're like, oh, yeah, I remember meeting you before. Remember we talked about like how our dogs are the same and things like that? It's great. You never know how you're going to meet someone, and those will help you along the way. And then the last thing, I know I mentioned this before, but every person that you meet in college will have something to offer you. So just remember that as you're going through and figuring out what kind of groups you want to hang out with. Okay, number 8 is consider studying abroad. I wish I did this in college. I did not do this in college, but I know Tracy and Maggie is going to also. But this is a quote from Deuteronomy saying, "The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." Sometimes studying abroad, I was already nervous going to college as it was. I was like, whoa, you're telling me that I got to go out of the country and meet all these new people and these new experiences? Like, what the heck is this? But it is such a wonderful experience. Again, I wish I had partaken in this experience, but I know everyone else who has studied abroad absolutely loved it, did not regret it. It's definitely a unique opportunity for college students. So you could go for a whole semester, you could go for a few weeks, you could go for a summer. There are a lot of different programs. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely work with your advisors early on this so that you can take the correct college courses so that you can actually study abroad. But there are a lot of different benefits of studying abroad. So for example, growing in your independence, gaining a greater appreciation of where you come from, being immersed deeply in a culture, gaining global diversity, and then also recruiters love this. They literally eat up the fact that you've studied abroad. So lots of good experiences. I don't know if Maggie or Tracy, I know I'm putting you all on the spot, if you want to share something. I know Tracy's coming up. She's like, oh, yes.
Okay, well, this may be one of my very favorite topics is Italy. So we just got back from a trip with 19 of us, stayed in a villa. A lot of my friends that were studying abroad with us and all of our families had a villa together multiple decades later. I'm not going to say how many because it was a long time. But Colin got to go, and we were there for a long time. And I would just say that is literally the best time of my life. I happened to meet my husband, so he wouldn't even exist if it weren't for studying abroad. But that's not the reason to go. There's a lot of things that can hold you up from going, like maybe a significant other. I'd almost say if that person isn't willing to let you go and come back, maybe they're not the one. That's what happened for me. So I would just highly recommend that that is really a great thing. And again, it is hard. Long distance relationships are difficult, but it can be done. And so you're not as disconnected as we were back in the day because of all of the things, for good or for bad. But it is just such an amazing experience. One thing I know, Maggie is going also to Italy, but she didn't decide until maybe a little bit later. Like, I knew going into college that is what I wanted to do because my parents didn't let me do it in high school. And so I was looking at schools kind of with that in mind. But I took Spanish in high school, so I really thought I was going to Spain or one of the other hundreds of countries that speak Spanish. However, I was open to opportunities, and Texas A&M had a study abroad program in Italy in a small little hill town. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll try to learn Italian. And, then I ended up going through with that and know another language as well. So it just can really open your mind. The other thing I'll say with regard to internships, and we'll probably get to that as well, but that also is super important for your career success, and having an internship kind of plan. You actually have to think about it a lot sooner than you think you need to. So both study abroad and internships, you just kind of like want to have it on the target list. I know when I was in college, I was like, I don't know if I certainly can't miss football season, so there's no way I could go in the fall, so it had to be the spring. But then I was over there and I was like, I can't believe I was worried about missing a semester in College Station, Texas with everything that I saw in Italy. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for letting me talk. And
Thank you. Appreciate it. I wish I could talk about studying abroad more, but now I just go on my own. I just travel to different states, travel to different countries, things like that. So we'll go on to tip number 7. Call your family and friends. Mom and Dad miss you a lot. They want to know everything about college and what's going on. They're so happy for you, but they're sad at the same time because you're leaving the nest, right? So it's always important to be grateful for where you come from. I know for me, I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to leave the house and be by myself. Like, I am so excited. But at the same time, during college, you meet a lot of different people and you have a lot of different experiences. And it's really important to remember the things that you learned best from your parents. So for me, for example, when I went to college, or I should even say before I went to college, my family, they were really Croatian and very German. So I got to grow up a lot with my ethnic roots. And when I went to college, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, like everyone's like that. Like everyone knows like where they came from and their heritage, and they know how to speak the language and do folklore dancing. But that was not the case. And it just made me very grateful for where I was with those different experiences, right? And aside from being grateful, making sure that you thank your parents as well. I can't tell you how much they will appreciate it. It'll be like songs in their ears. They'll be like, oh my gosh, like thank you so much. So definitely thank them. Be grateful for where you came from. Again, college is not easy. It's definitely not easy, so it's always helpful, aside from the network that you're building within college, is to remember your roots and ask your friends, ask your family from back home what they think, right? Sometimes it's good to have that third-party perspective where you can get a lot of support, a lot of advice, see people who have already walked the walk that you're about to go on. And then also, it's okay to ask for help, right? It's okay to ask for advice. I know for me, sometimes I'm like, no, like I'll just figure it out myself. I'll be okay. But there are times where we're humans and we need help and we need connection. And there's nothing wrong with that. So encouraging you, I always encourage people to reach out for that help if they need it, right? And then the last thing is consider setting up a weekly call with your parents, maybe like Sunday after Mass or Wednesday when you have a free night, right? Always helpful to make that more of a routine, right? We were talking about establishing a routine earlier. And then also texting them regularly. All right, the last, or not the last section, but one of the things as well is getting involved. So it is super important, like Tracy was saying, that getting involved both personally and professionally will just make strides of a difference in your college career, right? I always say, this is how I compare it, is when you apply to college in high school, right? There are kids who just do the school work, right? They'll get all the straight A's and things like that. And then there are also some other people who will take a bunch of different clubs and clubs and activities, and maybe they'll get some A's, a B, things like that. Colleges, jobs, professions, they're going to take the student who is more diversified. It's not putting all of their eggs in one basket, right? So rather than a kid who puts his eggs in one basket and just focuses on school, it's really important to focus on work and life, okay? So getting involved both on or off campus will enrich in your college experience, and there are a ton of different ways to do this. So to get involved, you can get involved in a ton of student organizations that are out there. If you're going to bigger schools, I think at Miami, we only had 17,000 students, which is considered mid-size, but we had over 700 clubs and organizations, just a tremendous amount. There's also on-campus or off-campus jobs. So, for example, if you wanted to work at Buffalo Wild Wings as a waitress, or maybe you wanted to work as a campus tour guide, like definitely great options. Internships, like Tracy was mentioning, that allows you to get that experience in a professional setting. For me personally, I did an internship going into my junior and going into my senior year. By doing those two internships, I realized, like, oh my gosh, wait, I actually don't want to do HR. I want to do something different. And that's where HR consulting came into it. I learned a lot of different experiences that I could put on my resume and hand out to folks. But that was very pivotal in getting that real world experience and having that trial and error before you go into a full-time job. There's also teacher's assistant roles, understudies with professors, volunteering within your community, and getting involved. It allows you to explore areas outside of your major. It really gets you into your different passions. You get to meet new people, and then you also get to gain a lot of leadership and skills-based experiences that you can carry on to your next job or experiences from there. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do is a worksheet activity. I don't know if people grabbed them all the way up at the table. If not, maybe Tracy and a couple others, we can start passing those around. Awesome. Pass them around. Does everyone have a sheet? Do we need more sheets? Raise your hand if you don't have a sheet and you need one. No? We're all good? Okay. So, flip to the side that says, what are your interests? If everyone flips over there. Hopefully we have some pens and pencils around. Yeah. And then if you're on the live stream, you can follow along. You'll see some of the slides that are posted. We're just passing around some of the worksheets while we're in person in the room. Awesome. Anyone else need pens, pencils? Raise your hands up high. Awesome. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Cool. Alrighty, so like I said, be on the side that says, what are your interests? You should see like a 2x2, a quadrant. And I want you to take some time to just kind of brain dump. Brain dump what kind of subjects and majors you liked in high school or even grade school, or if you're in college now, some of those. Topics of interest. So what do you like to learn about outside of school? So outside of studying in a textbook, what are some things you like to research, maybe on the computer, talk about with your friends, things like that. There's also a hobbies and activities section. What do you like to do in your free time? Maybe what sports you like to play. And then your dream job. If money and resources weren't factors, what would be your dream job? So take some time to write in those quadrants. How's everyone doing? Awesome. All right, now what I'm going to have you guys do, right, you have all these quadrants filled out, and you can, of course, add some time on your own to fill out this more and more. But if you flip over the page, it's going to say what student organizations interest you. So a lot of you who are going into not high school, a lot of you who are going into college, there is a student org fair. And there's like a bunch of different campus organizations that you can go to learn more about. And this is going to be really helpful for getting you there, right? So what you're going to do on the back of this sheet, or if you don't have the sheet, if you're online with us, you could do it on a sheet of paper, is that you are going to circle your top 3. Your top 3 student organizations that you would maybe want to get involved in. If something's not on there at the bottom of the sheet, write it down. Take some time to look through the list, see what interests you. A what? Oh, a cheerleader. Oh my gosh, I love it. Hey man, I don't blame you. I love that. I love that. All right. Let's go around the room here. I'm curious. Does someone want to say what one of the clubs that they chose? Yes.
College Democrats.
Ah, College of Democrats. I love it. I love it. All right. Did you guys circle any? Yeah. What you got?
Rock climbing.
Rock climbing. Oh, that's so cool. All right. How about a couple people from here on this side of the table? Yes.
I said first generation college student.
First generation college students. I love that. How about someone else from this table? Yes.
Like book club or theater.
Book club or theater. Awesome. I love it. How about this table? Did you circle any? Okay. Yeah. No, on the other side. The student organizations that you would like to get involved in. Yes. Awesome. Well, definitely take a look as you're going through. Again, this is a great little sheet to carry with you when you do go to the student org fairs. And like I said, over time, you can always change. You can drop a club. You can pick up a new one. This is time for you to experiment and explore the different opportunities that are out there for you. Okay? Any questions on the activity that we did or anything that we just talked about? I know we're having our panelists come up here. Okay, cool. Well, I will hand it back over to Tracy, and she's going to go over the panelists who are coming up and chatting with you all a little bit.
I think, does this work? Great. Well, one of our panelists escaped, but I know he'll be back soon enough. So Maggie and Jack, can y'all come up? Okay. So I'm going to have each of our panelists introduce themselves briefly, and then the floor is going to be yours. So I'll be walking around with the mic, and actually Anna might give someone the mic, or I'll just take it to give to them. And so any question you have, we would love to hear. Don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't ask, then we'll just come to you and put it in front of your mouth, and then you'll come up with something. No, just kidding. So we do have people watching online, and there may be some questions that come in from our live streams as well. So just, if you guys don't know, All Saints has done an amazing job with our social media and making things accessible to all over the world. So before we go on to the panel, I want to have everyone say a thank you to Zeke, who is our videography coordinator. Thank you, Zeke. So he made time out of his busy day to be here tonight. I think he's already been to like the Bishop and everywhere else today, but he's here to live stream at the same time as record for our career ministry. So career ministry has its own website as of just like 2 months ago, thank God. And so that's allsaintsdallas.org/career ministry. So there's a lot of resources there. I'm going to put a separate section on there for college and young people as well. So if you have suggestions, it's kind of new out there. We'd love to hear suggestions on what else you want to hear. But you can also follow us on YouTube, Vimeo, I'm not sure what else, other things. Anyway, Facebook Live, we're on Facebook. Okay, so Maggie, do you want to start introducing yourself?
Yeah. Is this on?
It's on,
Okay, I'm Maggie.
but you have to have it close to your mouth.
I'm Maggie. I'm going to be a junior at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. I'm double majoring marketing and economics, and I'm double minoring computer science and data analytics. Right now, I'm in Alpha Delta Pi, and I love it, but that's not a plug. All of them are great. I am going to join a business fraternity this fall, Alpha Kappa Psi, and I'm planning on doing intramural volleyball this year as well, because I wasn't as involved as I wanted to be because of COVID. But now that's lifted up. I'm trying to look for more things. I've had an on-campus job, and I currently have an off-campus job, so I kind of know the ins and outs of how both of those kind of work and how to manage my time around those. But yeah.
And now you know why we asked Maggie to be on the panel. Okay, see if you can top that, Jack.
Okay. I'm Jack. I'm going to be a junior at A&M in College Station. And I'm going to be rushing this semester. And I don't really have a lot going on. I'm getting a job this next semester. And I think I'm in a jiu-jitsu club as well. So that's about it.
Okay, Rocky.
So my name is Rocky. I'm actually graduated. I graduated after the fall of 2020, and I went to the University of Oklahoma. I was a residential advisor, which is basically like one of the older people that live on your floor as a freshman and help you figure out college, and are just kind of there for you. And it's a great job to get because it saves you money and stuff like that. So I was an RA. I was in a fraternity called Brothers Under Christ, which is a Christian fraternity at a lot of campuses. Through like Brothers Under Christ, I was part of a couple things where you did like a theater performance with the sorority. So that was really fun, and I got really into that. So I gave back to the school through that. Did the big event, which I know A&M has as well, for a year. So yeah, just spread myself out a little bit, kind of like Anna said, is like a good thing to do. And now I'm a 7th grade Texas history teacher, which was not the plan, but is now what I'm doing. And so it's a special calling to teach 7th graders, and so that's what I'm doing. It's what God called me to do now. So.
Well, hopefully these will be easier questions than you get from your 7th graders. Okay, who would like to start with a question from our panel? Okay, excuse me as I run across the room. Teresa.
So Maggie said what her major was, but could you two say what your major was and why you picked it? And Maggie, you can say why you picked yours as well.
Okay, why did you pick your major? First of all, what is your major and why did you pick it? So go ahead, Jack.
So initially, I actually was an applied mathematics major, and that's because I didn't have the grades to compete in the business college, and I figured I'm good at math, so I'll do that instead. And actually this summer, I decided I hate it, I don't want to do it, and so now I'm an econ major. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but we'll find out.
And I was a political science major, and I minored in international security studies. And so I did that all through college, and then afterwards decided to become a teacher. So I did a different like certification program outside of college for that. But yeah.
Explain all of, because we might not have caught all of those majors. You had like a lot of majors and minors, so explain what those are.
So I'm not like insanely smart or anything. I had like so grades in high school. I just took a lot of AP classes, so I came to college with like 36 credits. And so they were like, yeah, you don't have to take any of these classes that freshmen have to take. And I was like, okay, now what do I do? So I actually didn't decide what I was going to major in until sophomore year. And the way that the business school at Arkansas works is you have to take an intro to every single major they offer. And so I took intro to accounting, and I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing this. And I took intro to marketing, and I was like, this doesn't suck. I'm going to do this. So that's why I chose those two. And then I wanted to branch out of the business school as well. So that's why I'm doing data analytics and computer science as my minors, because I really enjoy technology. I really enjoy computers, and I figure that will be really useful with a business major so that I can kind of do a whole bunch of different things. Since I don't really know what I want to do when I graduate, I figure someone will hire me. So that's why I chose a whole bunch of them. And I also chose them because they go really well together. Like a lot of my econ classes cover my data analytics classes, so I don't have to take like 20 million classes. Like they all kind of count for each other. So it's not as much as it sounds like.
Awesome. But it does look really impressive to employers. Like, John, would you hire her? Yes. So that's something to think about. Do what you enjoy. It's okay to switch if it's not your favorite or you're not getting good grades in it, you don't love it. Switch. There are so many things that you can do afterwards. It doesn't necessarily matter what your degree is. John, what is your undergrad in?
I have an opinion, and I really think you guys are doing the right thing. Undergraduate, typically you can go wherever you want. And my recommendation is go where the best teachers are and follow the best profs in the best classes. And then you're going to sooner or later have to get a master's degree in something. So save your time and money, and your master's degree will be, in my experience, and myself and my kids, their master's degrees were all in the areas that they had just focused on. But undergraduate, they really went everywhere. My oldest son was exactly like you. He had 4 majors, University of Chicago, went nuts. I mean, kind of crazy guy.
Wonder where he gets it. Okay, so John has a Harvard MBA, but his undergrad was in Islamic Studies from Georgetown. So, but he's Catholic, very, very Catholic. But just study something that's very interesting and great professors. So yeah, that's great. Also, I heard taking AP classes is a great idea. If you're still in high school and you still have that opportunity, take those classes. Study for the exams because your score matters, and it saves your parents or your 529 or you a lot of money and also time, so you can do something else. Like I had 4 hours my last semester of college. I did take lots of other classes, but I was able to race on the cycling team and do other things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I had a really heavy schedule.
Yeah,
So-
everyone had to take this class called Finite, and they were like, it's the hardest class of freshman year in business, and I got a 5 on my BC Calc exam, so I didn't have to take it at all. Best decision ever. Like, I studied for like maybe 2 hours for that exam, like studied really hard for like 1 day, and then I had to not take a whole semester of a really hard class.
Yeah.
Which I would have had to pay for. and
Yeah,
probably
so I
wouldn't
love
have
this
done it.
humility. She's not really that smart, but she got a 5 on the BC calculus exam. So
It was during COVID, and it was
Okay.
online, so.
okay, do you have a question?
Comment. I was saying, like, if you have dual credit, I highly recommend dual credit over AP. Some people may disagree, but if you're like if you're an average like student and you can do well in classes, dual credit is just passing the class with like a C and you get credit versus like you're studying all year for one AP exam that you have to get at least a 3 counts as passing, but honestly, colleges are looking for 4s and 5s. So highly recommend dual credit over AP if your school offers it.
Awesome. There are so many great options these days as far as getting college credit. Okay, question?
Oh, no, I was just going to put onto what you said. I also did dual credit in high school, and it was honestly the best decision I could have made because I got like college experience. I kind of knew the layout of the classes and the professors, and I ended up I'm now going to the college that I did dual credit at, so I kind of already know what I'm doing. I know a lot of people don't do that, but doing the dual credit really kind of gets you in the mindset of college so that you know what to expect.
Great, thank you. Bob, you have a comment?
What is your ultimate goal? Do you have one?
I'm still waiting to see. I'm taking internships, and I'm hoping to find what I want to do through there. Like the internship that I'm signed up for, it's Andrews Distributing, and I looked into it, and they're going to be, it's not just one category that I'm going to be thrust into. It's going to be multiple different positions that they're going to, introduce me to, and I can narrow it down from there. So, yeah, I'm just trying to have a good time and find out what my passion is.
For me, since I'm starting the work world, I think I want to work my way up to teaching high school and possibly Catholic school, which I'd need to go back to school potentially and study theology. So that's like an idea floating in my brain right now as like a future goal. But high school for sure, whether it's public or private school, and then go from there.
I have no idea, but kind of what they said, like you can kind of start figuring out what you really like to do through different things. Like I know you were in a Christian fraternity, so you're like, okay, I really like this. Like I really obviously like being Catholic, so teaching that would be a good idea. You kind of just start putting together puzzle pieces like that through internships as well. I've had a whole bunch of different jobs. Like right now I work at my apartment as a leasing agent, which I just got because I get to walk downstairs and work, which is awesome. And I really, really enjoy it. So now I'm like, oh, like contract law is kind of cool. I'm in business. Like tenant law is really cool. Just kind of like looking into different stuff that's really interesting to me. But yeah, I don't really have I just want to graduate.
Is this working? Yes. Okay, so it is okay not to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. So I didn't actually really know until like last month. But I have had multiple different experiences throughout my life, and looking back, everything has sort of led to the next path. So God absolutely has a plan in your life, and you may not be able to see it. I was one of those that stressed every single time it came time to enroll in classes. It's like, what am I going to take? And it was this big crisis and didn't know what I was going to do. I studied psychology because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into business or medicine, and then I ended up getting a graduate degree in psychology, and then I was working in clinical research, and then I went into more of a healthcare field doing business of medicine, and then I was coaching people through Mary Kay, and also kind of on the side, athletics was really important to me, and then here I get to help people with their career path and coaching them, so it's really neat to see how things come full circle. So it is absolutely okay not to know what you want to do, and I think y'all are all doing the right thing by just taking the next right step. So try not to have anxiety about it. I know sometimes it's easier said than done. Okay, any other questions before we get to the next part of our presentation? Okay.
I know this is a difficult subject for most college students, but how did you guys change your faith, your practice of religion when you were at school or at school? What are you doing about that? Thank you.
So it's kind of a work in progress for myself and a lot of other people I know. Whenever I was in high school, I was really, really involved in St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Lake Highlands, and I was like the youth pastor there, and I led confirmation retreats and teen acts retreats and like all this stuff, and I loved it so much. And then COVID came, and then I went to college, and I was just like, I do not have time for this. Like, the churches weren't even open. I had to attend on Zoom, and I was already doing like 8 Zooms a day, and I was like, this is not what I want to do. But I did start attending different churches once COVID kind of like let up a little bit. I didn't go to a Catholic church at first. I went with some of my friends to a Methodist church, and I really didn't like it. But it just wasn't my style. And then I went to like a different church and just didn't really like it. And we do have a Catholic church on campus, but it's not my favorite thing to be around a whole bunch of people I know at church, which is why I went to church in Lake Highlands. Because I kind of like having my own community that I make that's kind of separate from my school life. So I have gone to Catholic churches just in Fayetteville and not on campus that I've really enjoyed, because I kind of like having some adults there that, I don't know, teenagers stress me out sometimes, people my age. So I really like being there and having some like guidance from people who are older than me, and not just like still in college like I am. But like I said, it's a work in progress. You know, sometimes I go whenever I'm back home, and sometimes I don't. And it's kind of just trying to find a balance between, you know, can I like make sure I don't have any classes on, you know, certain days in the week, and then I can just go then, or like, do I have time on the weekends because I have a job? But yeah, it's a work in progress. It's not, I'm still working on it, and I'm getting better every year.
Yeah. When I started out at OU, I was like going to mass each weekend and had my own prayer life, but I wasn't involved with the community so much at OU. So I was getting really involved with my Christian fraternity, which was great. So I think like you can honestly go either way. It's great to get involved with your community like there, and like, you know, have your group of friends be the ones at like whatever parish you go to. It's also great if you involve yourself with like a group of friends but are still staying obviously plugged in with your church there. So as long as I think if you're keeping up like your like prayer life and like, you know, receiving the sacraments and still doing that kind of thing, like that's what's like the most important. And if you find your friends there like through the church, great, like stay like in that group. There's people who would just literally hang out at the church in like the Newman Center, quote unquote, like the student center there, and that's great. That's just not how I started out, because all my friends were like in my fraternity, and they were all Christian guys, so they were awesome dudes and guys who I are still best friends of mine till to today. And then as time went on, I started getting more involved at the church itself with the community. So I would say like the biggest thing is just the core part of like, yeah, receiving the sacraments, having a good core friend group that'll keep you out of trouble and keep you like accountable for prayer, yeah, and just living like a holy life. That's like, I think, the best way to grow in your faith, and starting now for any high schoolers, just like growing now before you get to college and you start experiencing new things like different schedule of class and stuff where it might, change the way and the order of which you do things. Like, just start a good habit now, make your prayer life strong now, so that when you get to college, like, it'll be a smooth transition.
Thank you. Yeah, I also think just that's an additional piece of the structure of your week. Having routines is super important, and I think that's in the next part, or maybe you already did it. So Sunday is the start of a week, and it might not be, we're lucky being Catholic that you have a lot of Mass options. So if you were out late the night before, then you might sleep in and go to 5 o'clock Mass, and that's great. So just know that you have like a way to kind of reset your week, have that hour of silence when you don't have, all the pressures of the distractions of your phone and your people around you and all of that. Just have some time with God in church is a super great way to start the week.
I also wanted to add that like joining an organization like you did is a super good idea if you are like not sure how you're going to stay accountable, because you'll have people surrounded by you that like will hold you accountable. But even if you don't join like a Christian fraternity or sorority or a group like that, like I know in AD Pi we're not like a Christian sorority, but there still are people who lead Bible studies that I've attended, and we've done things where how can we be, young women who are in like a sorority and also Christian, and how can we, keep our faith really strong and stand up for our religion whenever like a lot of people in college, especially Arkansas, like aren't like that. So it's nice to have people that you can find in other groups that aren't necessarily Christian, where you can, still come together and do something like Christian or Catholic related with them.
Thank you. Yes, and just to pull it back to a few things that Anna said in the beginning is that you are like the 5 people you surround yourself, Jim Rohn's quote, and there's going to be, everyone in college might have something to offer you. There's going to be people who offer you bad stuff, and so if you can find a core group of friends who care about you, who have similar values as you, that's going to go a long way. If you see yourself going down a path that maybe your parents wouldn't want or God wouldn't want, you'll have people to kind of circle back to and be like, hey, help me on this path. Let's get back on the wagon. So thank you. So we're going to start the second half. Well, it's not actually a half. We're wrapping up sooner rather than a whole nother hour. But Anna's got a few more tips, and then we will have a chance at the end if anyone has other questions. If y'all want more food, we have plenty, so help yourself. If you need to use the restroom, you can go outside to the right as well. So Anna, go ahead and come up, and y'all can stay there or have a seat right here and come back in a few minutes. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you to you guys as well. Loved hearing all your answers and perspectives. I know for me, in terms of like the faith question, I was a person when I went to college where I was like, I'm too busy for Mass. Like, I'm not going to go, right? I was so focused on homework and things like that. But then after some time, I was like, I'm missing something. And I realized that it was Mass that I was missing. And I actually went with a friend of mine who eventually did become my boyfriend. But I went with a friend of mine. I was like, hey, I know you go to Mass all the time. Can I, just join you? I want to get back into it. And he really got me, or I should say helped me get back into it to where I was starting to go to Mass every week. And then, honestly, I didn't really go into my faith and get really involved in my faith until after college. So just know that even in college, if that's not necessarily your path, or maybe you try different religious institutions, like maybe you go to a non-denominational or Christian or whatever, just knowing that God is always with you and he will lead you back home, right? So we'll go down the final 5 tips. So tip number 5 is keep your health in check. This is really important, is that in your health, Your health is the thing that's going to fuel you. It doesn't matter about your job. It doesn't matter about your family. It doesn't matter about your friends. It's really about your health that keeps you going. If you have a beating heart, you're alive, right? So it's really important to keep that heart healthy. A lot of different ways that you can do that. So just making sure you eat enough fruits and veggies, you drink enough water, you sleep well, you exercise often. Maybe try to cook or pack any sort of snacks as opposed to eating campus food or spending money on going out a lot. I feel like I'm a mom saying this because I feel like my mom told me this all the time. But it does catch up to you eventually, so just make sure to keep that in check. And then also just staying away from harmful practices, so things like alcohol and drugs. You do want to make sure that you are keeping your health in check and doing what's best for your soul and your body. Number 4 is utilize campus resources. So college has a ton of resources that'll be helpful whether you're succeeding or maybe if you're struggling a little bit. So some of them on the right-hand side you'll see there are academic advisors and professors. I literally when I was thinking about my majors and my minors, I sat down with a professor that I really liked for like 3 hours. And I was like, please help me figure out my life, and I want to figure out how to graduate in 4 years. And because of that, I changed from having a double major and a minor to having 2 majors and 2 minors. So really important to get plugged in with your academic advisor or professor as soon as you can. There's also major-specific and divisional centers, so College of Arts and Sciences, Education, Health, and Society, the School of Business, a lot of different areas that you can get involved in and will provide you specific information for your major or your degree. Library and research databases. Oh man, I wish I had access to research databases now, because although there are things on Google that are for free, the fact that they're not as reliable as some library resources is a shame. I wish I had more of those resources. And in college, you have access to a ton of different articles, a ton of different books, a ton of different studies. So definitely take advantage of that and ask your librarian or anything like that for those questions. Financial aid resources, huge, especially as you're going into college. College is not cheap. It's really not cheap, and allowing for someone to help you along each and every step of the way is really important. Health and wellness centers and recreational centers. So for example, if you need to see a therapist, or maybe you feel sick, or maybe you just want to get a workout in at the gym, all those centers are really important to get plugged into and get involved in. The last one, we are a career ministry, so I definitely have to put a huge plug in here, is to use your career centers. These people will be really helpful for you to get your internships and your jobs. That's how I got my job, my internships, and my job at EY. I applied through the campus portal, and I was able to get interviews there. There are companies who will come specifically to your university and have specific events. So we had EY come to Miami University and have specific events just for our school. It helps in the applicant pool to get you that job. But outside of that, they offer a ton of different resources. It's actually very similar to what the career ministry does. So we do one-on-one coaching for resumes, LinkedIn's, cover letters, different workshops on how to network, mock interviews. So literally a mock interview is when you go in like a suit or a dress and you pretend as if you're in an interview and you sit down one-on-one with someone. They provide you feedback based on the interview that you give. It's like you're doing an interview in real life, but it doesn't count. So you kind of get a freebie there. You also want to get plugged in as soon as possible at the career centers, and one of the ways in which you can do that is by going to career fairs. A lot of freshmen and sophomores think, nah, I don't need to go to a career fair. I don't have to worry about that till senior year. No, you want to make sure to go to those as soon as you can. Start passing out your resume. Start getting connected with those people, because down the line, you can build your network, build your relationship with them, and when it does become time to get an internship or get a job, they might be able to offer you one. So, and plus it's really good just to go for practice, because a lot of those career fairs can be very daunting. Like, oh my gosh, what am I about to get into? There are a ton of different employers here. So the more you go and get your reps in, the better. Yep.
I was just going to echo that. So I know we just went to freshman orientation at Arkansas, and they've already published their career fair is in September, and I already sent my son an appointment on his calendar. Hopefully he's got it. Because even though you're freshmen and you might not be actually talking to them for or have a resume that you would want to share with employers, again, it's going to lessen the shock value the next time, because it is a little overwhelming the first time you go through that. And I think sooner than later, like having a LinkedIn profile, I didn't look for a job. I didn't have a job search for 17 years. So I never had one until I started doing career ministry. And so the more you can build that up, you're collecting contacts along the way, is just going to help you so much more down the road. And then finally, the internships, they are hiring for internships like for the summer way before you think. So if you want a summer internship for next summer, you interview in September, like in a month and a half. So just that surprised me, and it is almost sad how many people come out of college without an internship and no job opportunities, and really don't know why they're not getting callbacks or employers or recruiters looking at them. But it's a lot of times because they have no practical job experience. So one of the best ways to get that and to set you up for career success and a great starting salary is having that during college, even if it ends up taking you an extra semester. Maggie.
Sorry, I was gonna echo. I went to the career fair Arkansas as a sophomore, so last year, and it was a good practice to wear business attire, because I was I didn't own any, so I went. We had a closet that you can go and rent items out, which is super nice for interviews and stuff. And I got 3 job offers, and I was quite literally, I'm not graduating for another 3 years, so thank you, but I got a lot of LinkedIn connections, so I'm now connected with top executives at Walmart, which is insane, which I probably won't hit them up, but it's nice to have those connections so that other employers are she knows what she's doing. So it is really important.
Thank you. Definitely builds your confidence as you go into those career fairs more. All right. Tip number 3, experiment and explore. College is a time where there are a ton of different opportunities in front of you. Seize them, right? You want to make sure you try different clubs, maybe even different churches, different organizations. Don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone. There's nothing wrong in this time of college to be selfish. And what I mean by that is to be selfish in your growth and development. So do things that excite you, prioritize your time behind them, and really think about what you want to do and how you want your college experience to be. Because what you put in is what you're going to get out of it, right? And there might be sometimes, maybe as you're going through that life wheel with all the different spokes, it may call you to change things. Maybe it's telling you to change your major like some of these folks did. Or maybe change your university or change your friend group. That's okay. Life comes with a lot of changes, and it's okay to assess those. But the key to that is really understanding your why. You don't want to just jump and make a really rash decision. So that's where it's really helpful to ask some friends, some family, maybe even bring it to prayer for advice. Number 2, use your moral compass. So your parents are probably wonderful and great in teaching you a lot of important life values, how to demonstrate love, how to demonstrate kindness to one another. Use that to guide you, because in college there's going to be a lot of temptations out there. Maybe some opportunities are really good. Maybe some opportunities are not so good. So just making sure to keep that in mind as you're experiencing new things and meeting new people. It's okay to say no to things, right? It's really okay to say no to things. And like I said, just demonstrate the things that God has taught you. There are going to be people in your life who you meet who maybe aren't Catholic. But what we do as Catholics, we don't want to just project what we believe onto people. It's just demonstrating a lot of those qualities of what God has taught us. That's how he wants us to shine as disciples. You don't even have to say that you're Catholic. You just demonstrate a lot of those different qualities. And then also, I use this for myself still today. When in doubt, pray it out. The Lord has a plan for you, and sometimes praying it out and meditating will bring a lot of comfort and some realizations. Last but not least, the tip that we have is have fun, but study hard. So college is so unique. It is such a unique part of your life. You're never going to get something like this again. It is so cool. College is awesome. I love it. I love college. But it's going to go really, really quick. Like in a blink of an eye, it's going to go by. So really soak up all the memories, soak up all the laughs, have a lot of fun. Don't just be bogged down in schoolwork, but also like meet new friends, go to new things, try some new food joints, like whatever floats your boat, make sure to do that. Take each moment and experience as a learning opportunity, whether it's the people you meet, the experiences you face. College is not only a time for personal investment. I want to make sure I highlight this. It's not a time for only personal investment, but remember that it is a financial investment as well. Like I said before, college is a lot of money, so you do want to make sure that you're making decisions that are sound and that your parents and other people would be proud of you for it and that you're proud of yourself. And then like I said before, the key to college and to just life in general is to understand your purpose, really understand your why behind why you're doing things, and then assess periodically if things need to shift and change. So that's all the tips I have for you all. I'll turn it back over to Tracy and the panel for some last Q&As, and then I'm here around too if you have any questions. Okay? All right.
Thank you. Okay, so we have another short bit for questions for our panel, and who would like to go first in asking a question? So I know we did have one also from the that was submitted prior to the event, so I will bring that up as well.
I don't really have a question. It's just more of a general bit of advice. I just graduated from college in May, and I was also an RA. And one thing I really noticed from living with college freshmen and college sophomores in my residence hall was that they're just really searching for something, and they're really searching for answers and like what they should do with their lives, which is really stressful for them. But also like they're concerned with their friends, their family, balancing everything. And one thing I really found important for me when I was in college was the Newman Center on campus. We had a fantastic Newman Center, which is basically the Catholic College Student Center. And our Newman Center had a chapel attached to it. I don't know if that's the case with all of them. But just to know that the Lord was physically on campus was such a big help and a big comfort for me. And tying it all together, I guess, if you don't make time for prayer, if you don't make time for the sacraments, I really recommend checking your priorities and seeing what's really important to you. Are you prioritizing studies and money, or are you prioritizing like your eternity, you know? Even just taking 5 minutes in the chapel a day, that will really, really help center you. It will really help getting your thoughts clear and just presenting everything before the Lord. So that would be my advice. Yes, study hard, have fun, but also make time for what's the most important, the only thing that will matter in your life.
Thank you so much. Yes, I totally agree. Making the Lord a priority. I love to have that morning time and quiet time. Even before I get out of bed, I have some prayers, and I have a Bible app that I use that is really helpful to me. So there's so many resources, and we're happy to equip you with that as well. I did have a question. So one point there was, it's really hard to balance everything. I know when I first went to college, that was one of the biggest changes. People told me, oh, it's gonna be so easy when you go to college, you're good at meeting people, you've moved your whole life, it's just gonna be a breeze. And I did not find that. So the school that I went to was very small, and I didn't have a lot of independence, even though I did have independence, because there was so many people in my face all the time, and I didn't have my own space, which I always had growing up, my own room. And so then I have to have roommates, and what if you don't get along with them? And then the same people are at classes and are at, they're just people everywhere. So the other thing was I was really busy in high school, and I had a very set structure of having to be in class 8 hours a day, and then all of the activities that I did after class. And then I got to school, and I was like, oh, wow, there's all this time and a lot to manage, but I wasn't so good at figuring that all out. So how have you all navigated that structure? And of course, COVID has changed everything in the world, but how did you navigate creating your own structure or systems in place?
It's like she said, it's really difficult to manage that. My first year and a half, I wasn't very good at it at all, but I'm thinking it's a lot easier when you put yourself out there and join a club or something just to get you out of your room, because it's really easy just to sit in there and do nothing but scroll on your phone and not make any friends. But if you just go out there, cast a wide net, you'll have friends, asking you to hang out, or a club that you have to attend, and it makes you feel better afterwards.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, kind of like Jack said, is to basically take action. Don't just sit there and wait for something to come to you. And on the other side of that is it kind of happens naturally. So I don't necessarily have like a secret trick or anything, but just that obviously one's just trusting God, but to just take action and find one thing at least that you want to join, and then through that you meet people who are involved in other stuff, and you make connections to join other things. So just pick one or two things as you go into your freshman year, and then you'll branch out from there. Don't just sit back and wait to be okay, there's so many things, it'll come to me. Just take action, do one thing, and it'll start to spread.
Get a planner. I cannot have everything in my brain all at once. That's way too much. I bought a planner, and it's beautiful, and there's something for every single day of the week. And then also make sure you're planning your classes before it's time to sign up for them, and sign up for them as soon as you are allowed to. I only have Tuesday, Thursday classes. I've done this since I got to college. It's awesome. I go to class. It's kind of like high school. I go to class 6-7 hours a day, and then I get Monday, Wednesday, Friday to have a job or to do some of the organizations I'm in. And then I have the weekend to go to football games, and then go to church on Sunday. So it's super nice to have it all planned out. And I know I had to join some student organizations for my sorority, and I was like, this is stupid, I don't want to do this. But now they're some of my favorite things. I joined something called an ambassador program for a music venue in Fayetteville, which I love concerts. So now I'm interning for them, because I just went and I kept going, showing up to the meetings, and a lot of people didn't do that, and they're like, we see you, do you want to be our intern? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So showing up to things and being on time is super, super important. And writing everything down just makes it so much easier, and just having a set schedule every week. That doesn't work for everyone, but I love having something I know what I'm doing on Monday. It's the same every Monday, and that's just what my brain loves. So trying to figure that out early and doing that helps so much.
Great point. Oh, go ahead.
In addition to that, when planning out your schedule, I highly recommend going through each of your classes that you're going to be taking, and check and see the ratings of every professor, because who's teaching you is a huge key to success. You could get a really boring professor who doesn't care about it at all, or you could get somebody who's just enthusiastic about it and can just explain it to you better than anybody else.
That's awesome. Yet another thing we didn't have way back in the dark ages when I went to school. But what we did have, I'll just say, so many of the universities, all of them have so many different types of organizations. So figure out, what is your interest? If you're interested in music, I was in OPUS, the Opera and Performing Arts Society, which basically I was a usher for all of the musicals that came on campus. We brought like Broadway musicals, and I got to see them all free. If I want to go now to go see Wicked or Hamilton or whatever else, it's hundreds of dollars. But I get to see them all free from a very close-up spot. And then also, I like concerts. So our town hall organization brought a lot of performers on campus. So whether it was a rock band or a country performer, I was a bouncer for them, or I was in hospitality one year, and so got to meet like some, be up close and personal with these, high stars. So that was cool. Okay, other questions? Anyone from the room? Okay, so one that was submitted ahead of time was how do we know if college is for me, and what if college isn't for me? So any of y'all want to speak to it? And then Kevin, if you want to come up as well, I know depending on how many other questions there are, we're going to have Kevin talk as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think one thing you could do if you're not really sure if like college is for you is a lot of people take a gap year, and it's just like a year you take off you can work, you can, a lot of people usually work during that year, and it gives you more time to think about things like if college is for you, where you want to go, what you want to do with your life. So like a gap year can be really good, and help you make money for college if you do decide that is for you, especially if money is like the issue for if college is for you. A gap year is great to start making money and then be able to afford it. Another option is community college, which is significantly cheaper, and for the freshman year, or for your first year, is like a great way to get started on those habits in a smaller community, so it's not as overwhelming. It's, like I said, cheaper. So if you maybe think college might not be for you, you can try it, and then if you tried it and like maybe not for me, then you didn't spend like everything already. I took an online community college course just to, one, it'd be cheaper, two, it was a really unnecessarily hard one at OU, so I just got it done. So I can kind of speak to, like, it's a nice way. It was online, so it was really easy. I did it over the summer. So I guess it's kind of another topic, but I recommend that as well, getting some done. If you didn't do dual credit or that kind of thing, you can do community college. But yeah, like I've said, I've heard of a lot of people do gap years, and they're just beneficial for stretching out that time, giving you extended time to think about things. You could pray about your vocation, what you want to do with your life, all that kind of stuff during that year. So a gap year could be good, community college could be good, or just trying it out, like going, you don't know about something until you do it. So if you, during your freshman year, start college and decide maybe I want to do a trade school and do a trade instead, or go into religious life, whatever, that's okay. You just have to try things out sometimes to figure it out. Part of discernment is action, and so when you try something, you can better figure out if it's for you or not.
Thank you.
I mean, college is not for everybody. I have a buddy who I was rooming with for the past 2 years, and this summer he told me he was going to drop out of college and go be a mechanic or work in aerospace. He's still kind of deciding, but he knows his general path. And there's no harm, no foul right there. Just figure out what you want to do and go with it. College isn't always the path.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's see here. We have a few closing remarks, but before that, I want to go and talk about our career ministry. Last question I had online was to rush or not to rush. So that is the last question we'll take unless there's any burning questions from the floor. Anyone want to talk about that?
I can. I was like, sororities are stupid and they look super mean, and I do not look like a sorority girl, so I'm not going to do it. And then I saw that like 50% of people at Arkansas are involved in it, and I was like, well, shoot, I probably should do it. So I tried it out, and I had like the worst mood going into it. And then, and it was also online, so that was annoying too. And it was a lot of work, and I was like, I'm going to hate this. And then I actually didn't hate it. And I really, really like it now. And I actually have a position. I'm the philanthropy director. And so a lot can change. I even wanted to drop after my first year. And then I didn't because COVID made everything really bad. But if you're like super, super, super against it, you can always just not do it. And then if you have a lot of friends who are in it and you're like, oh, I'm really missing out on a lot of things, and you can always rush like your sophomore year, like Jack's rushing his junior year, which is rare, but you can still do it. It's completely fine. If you're going to a school where a lot of people are in it, I would always say just try to go ahead and do it, because it's a lot easier. You'll make a lot of friends. You basically are forced to meet a lot of friends, which is like super nice for me, who doesn't really want to like go out and find them by myself. It also like gives you a lot of opportunities to do like intramurals, and it gives you a lot of opportunities. Like we have a lot of dances and like themed nights and stuff, and it's so fun. I don't really know what I would do if I didn't have those nights to like go out and be with my friends and like have a lot of fun. And I've also met a lot of my guy friends through like they're called Coke dates, through like different like fraternities and stuff. So it's a great way to meet people if you're like kind of unsure about that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's worth something to check out. I was on the same like starting path as a freshman year of like I just never really even thought of Greek life, and then just someone who had kind of started to know me through freshman orientation that summer, like the summer camp at OU. They were like, you need to meet this person who's a part of Brothers Under Christ, and so I began to check that out. And I was like, okay, this is like pretty cool, and these guys are awesome and will help lead me where I want to go in college. And so like I took a shot at it, and it was I was really thankful and blessed to have done it and made all my, like I said, best friends there. So it's worth it, and it helps you get involved, because even though it's an organization itself, it promotes you getting involved in other things. One, that just like help yourself, but two, to help the fraternity in terms of like involvement. There's philanthropy, like Maggie said, which is basically like giving back to the community. So there's different each fraternity or sorority put on events to raise money for a cause or something. So you can do stuff like that, service, and it just gives you, it's an easy way to find avenues into other parts of like campus as well, and helps you make a lot of good friends quickly, especially during your freshman year. It's possible to very easily to make friends without Greek life, but it definitely helps there be natural ways of making friends, lifelong friends.
Thanks. So, as I mentioned, I went to a very small school, then I went to a very large school, Texas A&M, and it's not a very Greek school, so I wouldn't have necessarily needed to, but I did go through Rush as a sophomore, and the thing I liked most about it is in such a large school, I think I might have been the person who made new friends every different semester, and there's continuity. So the same people were in my pledge class were the same people that I had parties with, throughout the year, and formals with, and then junior year and senior year, and even after studying abroad, I went back and lived in the sorority house, and it's been lifelong friendships that we still get together, on a very regular basis, and then there's I wrote Maggie's rec for our sorority when she was in high school, and I've written recommendations to several in the room as well. And so there's ways later to give back. My mom happens to be in the same sorority too. So it can be a lifelong business connection. Someone sees that you're in that organization, they may be, more likely to have, just the more that you can have in common with people, the more possible connections you'll be able to have. So, okay, awesome. Love all the questions. Thank you. Thank you to our wonderful panel. If everyone can give them a round of applause. Good. You know why they were chosen now, because they're awesome. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit about our career ministry here. Our tagline is Train, Coach, and Connect. Training, we offer training resources to help develop practical skills integral to a job search, things like interviewing, networking skills, resume preparation, your LinkedIn profile. If you don't know what LinkedIn is, or you don't even know where to begin, we have an awesome recorded video that is only available through us, thanks to John, one of his friends, a LinkedIn guru. And so I can just email me or message me, and I can give you that link to the online profile. We also have other videos on our YouTube channel. Coaching is available to everyone. There's no cost. You fill out a mentor profile on our website, program application, and you can have a one-on-one coach. It can even be at school. We do a lot by Zoom, or maybe when you come home over Thanksgiving or Christmas or next summer. We want to see you again. And then finally, connections. I think this is one of the biggest things, is facilitating connections between, whether it's a parishioner or others that I know. That's kind of something I've always done my whole life, and now I have a forum to do that and can help benefit you all. So just continue to reach back out to us. We are a resource for you, and a ministry free of charge. So through that, it's also kind of cool because sometimes people are not really wanting to go to a church, or they don't know much about a church. Maybe they didn't grow up in the church, and you may have a friend that needs a resume help, and we might be able to help them, and they might learn a little bit about Jesus along the way. So that has some eternal rewards that I think is pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to bring Kevin up for a few closing things and also to tell you about what he does, and then we'll finish with Anna's slide. Or do you want, Anna, why don't you come up and then we'll come back to Kevin. So, okay, to piggyback on what I do, Anna kind of goes a step beyond. So here she is.
Thanks. So like I said, I'm a part of Summer Solstice. It's a company or an organization that I founded, and I help people with mind, body, and spirit wellness and connection. So that's anything from life to health to career. So I help with the career ministry as well, doing resume, LinkedIn's, cover letters, all that jazz. But I also do life and health stuff. So things like time management and work-life balance, growing in your faith, goal setting and accountability, personal training, fitness and nutrition plans, all the jazz. So I would love to be able to connect with each and every one of you. Go forward. Okay, yeah. So I have a QR code here. If you want to take an option to scan it to get free 30 minutes of coaching with me, I would love to be able to get to meet each and every one of you on a more individual basis. I also have my contact information here. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Go to my website. I also have some flyers at the front of the table when you exit. To be able to have some business cards and just like a little flyer of what I do. But I'll stick around here afterwards if anyone has any questions, want to talk about college things, not college things. I'm here for you all. So thank you again for having me here and allowing me to speak today. And I'll pass it back to Kev.
All right. Thank you, Anna. And just thank you to our panelists, Maggie, Jack, and Rocky, for just giving us wisdom. I think that was very apparent from people who have lived it, who are living it, and all of that. I was listening to everything that was said tonight, and I was like, man, I wish that I had had this when I was getting ready to go off to college, because, for me, it was kind of a big experience. It was the first time that I was kind of away from my parents. I was able to kind of make my own choices, make my own decisions. No one was telling me, oh, Kevin, you have to, go to mass. Oh, Kevin, you have to go to class. I would love to tell you that I went to all of my classes, and I would love to tell you that I passed every single exam I took, but I couldn't say with a straight face. Because the reality is that, it's a time when, I was figuring things out. And sometimes there was that anxiety of fear. I was like, what if I mess up? What if I get it wrong? What if I fail out of college? What if I don't get the job that I want, the career that I want? What if it's going to mess up my entire life plan? Or what if I just don't know where I'm going? I'm kind of stuck. Like, I've been doing this for a couple years and I don't know what's next. And for me, what was very, very helpful was a couple of things. The first was my friends, people that I kind of grew up with. We went to youth group together. We all went to different colleges, like across the country different. But we stayed in contact with each other. We called each other. We would drive on breaks, on road trips, and visit each other. We stayed connected. And those guys and girls that I was with, that I was friends with, they were people that were able to support me. They're like, yeah, sometimes this is really hard. This is gonna be bad. Oh, this professor, so weird. But like this class, so amazing. And so I think that's one thing that for me, I think is a really good thing to be aware of is the people that you have in your life right now. I know some of y'all came here with some of your friends. Maybe some of y'all are thinking of someone right now that you invited and they didn't show up, or that you would love to have invited to this. Somebody who you really trust. And I want to encourage you to really invest in those good friendships. And even ones that you make on campus, right? You're going to meet so many good people in fraternities, sororities, or even just in different clubs that you're involved in. And the second thing is, going to college, I really struggled with kind of who I was. Like, do I even want to be Catholic? Do I even want to be Christian anymore? I had a moment when I was in college where I was like, I don't even know if this is something I want. My parents made me do it when I was growing up. I went to, youth group, but is this even what I want? And so I had to struggle with that. And thankfully I had people in my life who were there to support me. But what I want to say is that it's okay to struggle with those things. It's okay. But in the end, I had to ask myself, okay, who am I? What do I believe? And where am I trying to go? What are my goals? And so when I really sat down and said, okay, what do I really believe? What are my core values? That began to make things so much clearer for me of what the path was for me. Not just with my career and the things I wanted to do, but just the people I would hang out with. How I would, just live out my life. And so I just want to give you that encouragement, because there'll be times when you're in college where you may feel like, what's next? What am I doing? How do I do this? I'm confused. And I want to encourage you to go back to the source. For me, it was my faith. That is what brought me back. And through my faith, I found other people that I was able to be connected with who shared that with me and who I was able to journey with. And just kind of keeping that in mind helped me to get through that. And so my hope for you, we had so much great information from Anna as well, giving just so many tips on how to grow that. And so I just hope at the end of the night, just to really the message I feel as everyone's been saying is that, whatever you are at, God has a plan. God knows exactly where you're at, even if you feel like no one else in your life does. And you can always turn back to Him in the Blessed Sacrament, in the chapel, in getting involved in, maybe it's a Christian group on campus. Maybe it's even when you come home for a break, just being back at your home parish and meeting up with those friends that you have been waiting to reconnect with. But God is going to sustain you through it all. And so I encourage you just to be strong and be just, even now start asking yourself, okay, what do I believe? How am I going to take this with me? Because it's not going to just stay with you in college. It's going to be something you take with you beyond college. So I just want to just real quick, for those of y'all who are going off to college, I'm brand new here with young adults at All Saints, but we would love to help connect you with those people when you come back. When you come back for Christmas break, when you come back over the summer, we would love to just facilitate a place for you guys to just hang out with good people and just have that connection. So you can follow us right now. Our social media is on Instagram, ASCCYAM, but also on the back, when you guys filled out a form, I asked if you wanted to be included in future emails and group chats. So if you guys want to be connected with our community, you can do that so that we can provide those things for you when you guys are coming back. And even if you're not with All Saints, just finding that community at your own parish as well. It can be really, really important and so good. So I don't know if we have anything else. Great. All good things begin and end in prayer, so let's do it.
Okay, thank you again for coming. Oh, our contact information, my cards are out there, so feel free to pick one up.
Come talk to us.
Information, we're going to be around. We have to get out here by 9.
Plenty of time.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you. Sorry. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. This is Jeremiah 29:11, one of our core Bible verses for career ministry and one of my personal favorites. If you need to, just make sure you have this posted on your bathroom mirror or somewhere above your bed in college. It's a really good thing to be reminded of. So there you go. Okay, and then our closing prayer. If y'all just want to bow your heads, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, we ask that your peace that surpasses understanding falls on us as students as we navigate the anxieties of life. Teach us to lean on you when things get crazy and chaotic, and help us to understand that you have everything under control, even when it doesn't seem like it. Give us the strength to persevere the hardships, the spirit to grow in love of you, and the mind to contend for the truth. Show us the power of faith and help us to grow closer to you during this season of our lives. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. So we just all wish you the very best. It really is such an amazing time of life. I think my husband and I both just wanted to stay in Fayetteville and never come back and just be in college, but I think our son would rather us be here where he can be on his own, which is fine. We're going to do that. We'll let him be there by himself. But it's just such an exciting time to get really involved and make so many connections. So have fun, and we're praying for you and wish you the best. And there's still some chicken, so feel free to help yourselves. Take some more. We know you're college students. You can take as much as you want.